Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Prince Political Adda on a day when the Congress party has got its first non-Gandhi president in 24 years. So it was a battle between Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge and Mr. Shashi Tharoor, in which Mr. Kharge has received 7,897 votes to Mr. Tharoor's 1,072 votes. And today we'll be discussing whether having a non-Gandhi leading the party is going to change things for the Congress. Now, usually we keep this discussion limited to our political team. So we have Mr. DK Singh, who's our political editor, with us. But because it's a special episode, we have a special guest with us, Mr. Karti Chidambaram, MP from Shivaganga. Thank you so much for
My pleasure.
joining us. So, Karti, I'll get right to it, what we are discussing. So, you were one of Mr. Shashi Tharoor's proposers. And the motto of the campaign that you guys were running was basically, status quo versus reformation. So, now that Mr. Tharoor has not won, and someone who is largely seen as the establishment candidate has been elected, what is going to change for the Congress party? How do you see this affecting the future of the Congress party?
See, I really don't think the office of the Congress president alone is going to change the fortunes of the Congress party. The Congress party needs to do a lot more things in order to be electorally competitive vis-a-vis the BJP. We have listed out what we need to do in our convention when we had in Udaipur. That really is the roadmap. The election for the Congress president is a small facet in the whole thing. In fact, this election, inner party election, must percolate all the way down, and only then it will have some sort of an effect. See, this is as you said, once in a quarter of a century event which has happened now. If this is repeated in regular periodicity, people will start taking things a lot more seriously about even the electors, the PCC delegates. The competition for them will get more fiercer. Then it will become a little bit more meritocratic in that selection process itself. That itself will make the party leaner, meaner, and more election-oriented fighting machine. So lots of things need to happen. I don't think the entire onus is on the Congress president, whether it was the previous president or the newly elected president alone can change the fortunes of the Congress party electorally. We need to do a whole bunch of things in order to become electorally viable vis-a-vis the BJP.
But then, this dynasty jibe that the BJP has been taking at the Congress all along. I mean, how does it change now?
And this
See,
is, I mean, sorry to interrupt you, but this is also a question that our one of our YouTube viewers, 2 Alpha, is asking. Who is really in charge in the Congress even now? Will it be the new president or Rahul Gandhi?
see, this dynasty jibe or taint on the Congress party alone is a little bit unfair. Every political party from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, be it the National Conference or even Mehbooba Mufti's party or the Akalis or the Shiv Sena or the TRS or the Biju Janata Dal or the TMC, every political party is family dominated. That is not a uniquely Congress phenomenon, and it's not even an Indian phenomenon. It's a South Asian phenomenon. Most of the political parties in South Asia are family dominated. That is the socio-economic structure of political organizations. And maybe as years roll along, that will change. There are one or two parties which are exception. The BJP is perhaps an exception at the top leadership level, but the BJP itself is peppered with many dynasts in the party who are legislators, who are members of parliament, who hold positions in the party. So it's not something they are devoid of this family dynamics within their structure. Yes, from a very superficial point of view, it's very easy to criticize a political party by saying that it's dominated by a family. But that alone does not make a party win or lose. There are many family-dominated parties which continue to win. And so the real test is, are you offering something which the electorate is willing to accept and you're winning elections? So that's really the matter. I don't think people punish a political party because it's family dominated at all. And as far as the Congress is concerned, let's be very clear. The Gandhi family will always have preeminence within the Congress party. Whether they hold office or they don't hold office, whoever else is the president, they will have to work in tandem with the Gandhi family. Their grace, their favor, their advice, their I wouldn't go to the say of saying that the benevolence is required for the party. There is a blood tie with the Gandhi family and the Congress party. That is a reality, and it's better to accept the reality and to keep fighting it and pointing out as if that is the some sort of a weakness of the Congress party. See, when the Congress party was winning, nobody was pointing this out. Only when you're electorally losing, you're pointing this out or making this an issue. But the point is, that doesn't make us win or lose an election. Winning and losing election is about our ground game, about our organization, about our messaging, about doing so many other things, which is really what we should be focusing on, and not into this this propaganda or this political jibe, as you the word you use, from our political opponent. That alone is really not the focus which we should be getting worried about.
But my question is, why is there so much of reliance or dependence on the family? Because the family does not bring your votes anymore.
That is not true. They see every political party is not just a conglomeration of people of only ideology. There is also some sort of an emotional connect. That is the social structure of India. Families do play a big part. Families play a big part, and relationships with families and organizations are also tight. That society, our society, has not become Western European as yet.
But
Maybe
would
it
you
will
agree
after
that the
50
family
years.
is not getting you votes
I'm
anymore?
not sure. The family is holding the party together. I mean, let's be very, very clear. If Rahul Gandhi had decided to contest this election, there would not have been an opponent. If Rahul Gandhi had decided to contest this election, these 9,000 odd PCC delegates, I would vouch my last dollar on it that 99.99% or maybe even 100% would have willingly voted for it. So
But how many of these delegates were elected actually?
that's the point. The point is this election will lead to other elections, and as these electoral processes continue within the Congress party, the purity of the process also will improve. But the point is, today no other political party other than us has even had this. I'm not saying this is a perfect electoral system, but at least we've had this electoral system. What does the BJP have? What does any other political party have? I mean, the DMK has just elected Mr. Stalin back as a thing, but what? And most political parties have entrenched family leaderships or entrenched leaderships. So there is no electoral process in other political parties to say, oh, they are running a better process. Why? Maybe these, I don't know, the Communist Party might have a slightly different kind of a structure. But which other party has got a better structure than what has happened today in the
But
Congress?
people may have, issues with when you say, this family is keeping the party together. There is not one state in the country where your party has not a split.
See, that is because sometimes within the Congress structure, we have sort of getting a little uncomfortable with ambitious state leaders, and we're not giving them space to grow. That is something which I want in the years to come to change. That you give space for ambitious people. Ambition should not be viewed as a threat or as a rebellious thing. Individuals with ambition should be encouraged. I mean, today, if you look at Google, the model is they allow managers there to be entrepreneurial within the organization itself. So they don't break away and go and form their own new venture. So the Congress must stop feeling uncomfortable with ambitious, outspoken, personally ambitious men and women within the organization. That a certain level of security is needed for that to happen. And I'm not blaming any one individual, but the structure sometimes gets very nervous about this kind of ambition, which is sometimes exhibited at the state level. And I think that the Congress party has realized it and will realize it better as we go along to allow people to thrive within the organization at the state level.
Karti, there are quite a few questions coming in along the same lines. And there's one question about the accountability of the Gandhi family. Now, we have seen even with the Bharat Jodo Yatra, very clearly the party is focused on Rahul Gandhi. All its entire communication messaging is focused on Rahul Gandhi. Yet he says that I'm not leading the Yatra, right? Even earlier, he said that I'm an ordinary MP. But in spite of all of this, the entire party kind of revolves around him. So now that officially someone else is the president, will the Gandhi family lose accountability?
No, I don't think so at all. I think they will still be the arbitrator of dispute. I still think they will have a outsized role to play within the affairs of the party. And as I said, their grace and favor will still be needed for this party to continue. I do not think that the new president, who I know Ms. Kharge is one today, had it not been him, even if it Mr. Tharoor at one, I don't think there could have been a complete departure from the connect and the influence, the outsized influence the Gandhi family will have on the party. See, the cadre of the party accept that influence, accept that authority. It's a different thing whether electorally whether that's winning or not. Let's not get into that. But the structure, the organization accepts it and is comfortable with it. That is the reality. So there is no point sitting outside and keeping criticizing that structure. But again, I'm telling you, winning and losing an election is not because of that structure of that or of that connect. It's because of the messaging, because of the organization, because of what they're offering. People make that choice. People really do not worry about the internal dynamics of a political party. What they're more concerned about is who are we offering, what are we offering, and what is the kind of program. That's what people vote for. Whether the leadership structure within a party is formed by a certain dynamics is not something which public get upset about. Are public upset about, say, the YSR Congress? The YSR Congress is completely dominated by Jagan and his immediate family. But people do not, they don't have he's a very popular chief minister. He gets a lot of votes. It's his programs, it's his outreach, which is making it win, not the internal dynamics of his leadership there, of the leadership structure.
No, but
So this
here we are
obsession
speaking.
with the Congress party's leadership structure or the influence structure of the Congress party in my opinion, has no relevance, none whatsoever in electoral
But it's
politics.
more about scrutiny of your leadership. I mean, how the leadership is functioning. I mean, what makes a leader? Look at the BJP. Now you have the prime minister who is quite popular even now. You have Amit Shah who has shown his organizational acumen year after year in one election after another. What do you have in your leadership? We haven't seen that popularity part you're talking about, mass appeal. We haven't seen that organizational skill that the BJP possesses. So
See, the organizational sharpness the Congress doesn't have vis-a-vis the BJP. It's not, you can't blame one person. It is the entire organization. Can whoever be the president, whether family or non-family, be responsible for organizing a party at a state, district, or a block level? That is a decentralized leadership must do that. See, maybe that is not a failing of the top leadership structure. It is about the culture which has permeated in the Congress. We have not created a competitive environment in many states. In many states, we have not been in power for many. For example, in Tamil Nadu, we have not been in power for 50 plus years. We have always been a minor partner to a Dravidian political party which comes to government. We don't even get a share of being in government. So that itself has built a certain inertia into the organization and has become and has perhaps built a little bit of sloth into the system. Whereas in Karnataka, if you notice now, the anticipation of going to win a state election, which we are going to win, I'm confident that Congress is going to win the upcoming assembly elections in Karnataka. Itself, you can see the energy which is exhibited by the Karnataka Congress.
but it has to do with the DK Shivkumar issue that
Agreed.
amazing.
That is because you allow state leadership to try. State
Yeah.
elections, I am very, very clear about one thing. State elections are won by state leaders and by the state organization. The national organization can come and add a little flavor and cream and maybe a cherry on the top. They really cannot win a state election. Mr. Narendra Modi does not win state election. It is an organization. He might add a little flavor to his campaign, I think, but it's eventually the state organization which wins and loses state elections.
And coming to the organization, let me give you an example. In 2007 UP election, Rahul Gandhi was all over. Although he was yet to become general secretary, but he was deciding all the candidates, he was interviewing them. He lost the election. He comes out, okay, the organizational flaws will fix. He was total in charge of the entire thing. In 2012 election again, he campaigned extensively. And after that, results come, he comes out and then tells us that you will see, I will change the organization in such a way that you cannot even imagine. You will see that. That was 2012. 2017, again you lose. Again you lose. And then again the argument proffered is that, organizationally we are weak. So we have seen 3 successive elections in UP which went to polls under full control of Rahul Gandhi and his supervision. Where was the organization?
See, the
And just
organization.
to add to that, Karti, before you answer, like the question that we got from Dilip Verma, it was about accountability. So, for example, if in Punjab, whether or not to replace Captain Amrinder with Mr. Sidhu is a decision that is being taken by the Gandhi family. It's so once the election is over, you cannot place the burden of the loss on the PCC. Again, in UP, Priyanka Gandhi was in charge, but she has not been removed as general secretary in charge for UP, even though the PCC chief has been changed. So it's about that when you're taking the decisions and when it's the family taking the decisions,
I
why
don't
shouldn't
think
they
the
be taking
average
accountability?
cadre in the Congress party wants the Gandhis not to have influence. Let's be very clear about that. I think we should end that debate by saying I am categorical, and I say this with full responsibility. The average cadre of the Congress party wants the Gandhis to continue to have influence over the party. But to winning and losing elections and to improving the organization is a collective effort. While I know that sometimes you think while credit goes to them, the blame doesn't go to them, is an argument you make. But in reforming the organization is a collective effort. But that the resistance is not necessarily only coming from, say, a particular person. It's because of the way our party has been structured. We are not, it's not like the BJP, which is got these social organizations outside the party which supply committed ideological foot soldiers to the organization. We have no social organization which supplies that foot soldiers to the party. Everybody comes to the political party because they are joining the political party. Whereas the BJP has got this unique advantage over us because they have these social organizations which are connected to the society in which they are operating on a non-political basis. And they form a great backbone for the BJP. Whereas I can't name a single organization equivalent of the RSS, equivalent to the BHP, equivalent to the Bajrang Dal, equivalent to the Ram Sena, which is offering that kind of support to the Congress.
And you had Seva Dal, which came into
Seva Dal is within the party. Seva Dal is a wing of the party. There is a Seva Dal, its president is appointed by the party. Whereas for the BJP, the BJP does not appoint the head of the VHP. BJP does not appoint the head of the Ram Sena. BJP does not appoint the head of the RSS, obviously, or the Bajrang Dal. They are all separate organizations, social organizations. I don't agree with their politics. I don't agree with their social agenda. But that they have a social agenda which helps the BJP keep a connect with the people. See, I always say that the relationship between a political party and the voter cannot be that vote for me, cannot be the only transactional or the communicative communication between a political party and a voter. There must be communication at all levels. Whereas the Congress party, because they don't have the luxury of these kind of social organizations, which are I wouldn't say apolitical, which are outside the political party structure, supporting us, we are having a huge disadvantage vis-a-vis the BJP, because the BJP is able to leverage the relationships, the activities, and the trouble which these other organizations sometimes ferment within society to capitalize on it and to advance their political agenda.
So obviously, you know much better than I think your leadership what's going wrong with the party.
No, it's
but
very.
Then, no, tell me if you were to advise Mallikarjun Kharge, okay, these are the 3 steps you must take to change things. What would be those 3 steps?
See, I think the Chintan Shivir in Udaipur has laid out a whole set of guidelines which universally the party seems to be in agreement with. I think they must implement that toto. But the most important thing which I'd like to change, which is not a very popular thing, and I have not found much acceptance to what I've said. I've been saying this a lot. I don't believe in this open membership to political parties. Every political party which claims that if you give a missed call, you can become a member, or you dial a number, or you go to a website and give your ID number, you immediately become. I don't believe in this open membership at all. These are all completely inflated numbers of members. Even every membership drive of most political parties is a lie, is bogus. It is not real. I mean, every political party will have at best, in my opinion, 100 to maybe couple of hundred active members in an assembly segment. That's all. Everybody else is a sympathizer. We are confusing loose sympathizers as members of a political party and are thinking that our membership is so large. I would be very, very selective in giving membership to within the political party. I think you should be first of all committed to the broad ideology of the party. You must be committed to coming to events of the party. You must mark time before becoming a member. Like in a club, nobody, even if you are invited to become a member of a club, you are not given membership immediately. People see how you use the club for a couple of years before you are given the right to become a member. And the right to vote only comes after being a full member after a certain number of time. So that kind of vetting and waiting period is not done in this membership of the party. People immediately say, I've joined the political party. You have no role. The structure it's not like as if it's a large, it's not like General Motors, which knows how to take a new recruit from college and give him a training program. People do not know how to use a person who comes into a political party. So first real reformation must come in this, stopping this indiscriminate membership drives and have focused people as members, and then have elections within those members to elect office bearers, and to have primaries within constituencies to select candidates. See, if anybody wants to become a candidate in some place, they better go to that constituency and win over the local organization, get their approval before becoming a candidate. That is what I want. I mean, this exercise we've had, it might have its flaws, but still it was a good exercise. It brought out these PCC delegates. Almost we had 96% of them who came out. Believe me, these people would have never come to the PCC office had we not had this election. They would have never come. They would have never congregated. Has any state unit ever said that we've had a meeting of all the PCC delegates before this election process happened? It's never happened. I have never had there are 711 members in Tamil Nadu who are technically voters. I've never ever attended a meeting. I'm one of them. I've never attended a meeting all these years of the 711 together in one day. Only the 711. But the fact that they had the right to vote, they brought out. So this kind of focused activity will bring sharpness within the party. So limiting membership is the first step. And then to electing office bearers within them, and then also endorsing and selecting candidates through a process will make the party more sharper. And of course, we need to have messaging also. Messaging is something which is very, very important. Today in the Hindi heartland, the Hindi Hindutva politics seems to have a lot of currency. There seems to be a lot of buy-in into it. And we need to give another message to that, which has to be a positive message. It cannot necessarily be, I don't like the politics of the BJP. It has to be another positive message. If that can happen, then we will see a little change.
Overnight, when you become, say, a Janodari Dattatreya Brahmin, won't work.
I don't believe in caste, so I don't know whether you can ever become. I negate caste completely. So I don't understand this politics.
So with this, all the leaders, they keep hopping from one temple to another every time election.
I go to temples ever so often. I'm a very religious person. I always go to temples. Even elections, no elections, I go to temples.
So how do you counter Hindutva?
See, this Hindutva is not really the Hinduism we practice in the South. This is a assertive, aggressive, as I say, Ayatollah Hindutva. This is basically Ayatollah. This is Ayatollah Hindutva. What the BJP really wants is the Hindu version of Iran, where the Ayatollahs will decide. There are these Hindu Ayatollahs they are creating. So this has nothing to do with the faith which most people in this country practice. But the politics they practice has nothing to do with religious identity. It is about othering a minority community because they have historical angst against them. I mean, in the north of India, you have the angst of partition. If you push them a little further, they have angst of the Mughal rule. So, and against the British rule, it's that angst which is pushing this kind of for muscular Hindutva nationalism. So that doesn't hold currency, at least to the part of the world I come from. I mean, we break more coconuts than anybody else in India. We have more per square kilometer. We have more temples than anywhere else in India. Better maintained temples with historical value. But we do not believe in this Hindutva politics of the BJP. But to counter that, we need to also bring in the economic agenda into political discourse a little bit more. The inequalities which are coming in the country, the kind of other issues which are getting pushed behind because this identity politics is sort of submerging the other issues. So we need to communicate more. And communication is not just communicating through media. It is actually ground level communication. And that can only happen if you have an organization at the ground level which is also interacting with people on a non-electoral basis. I see, you cannot only have interactions on an electoral basis. There has to be non-electoral communication between a political party and the people.
Which BJP has.
Which the BJP has because of its advantage of having these social organizations like the Shiv Sena, Ram Sena, not the Shiv Sena, sorry, the RSS, the Ram Sena, the Bajrang Dal and the VHP and all those kind of things.
But we hear Rahul Gandhi condemning the RSS all the time.
See, I don't agree with the RSS, but the RSS is a factor. I condemn even the Gestapo, but the Gestapo is there. I condemn the brown shirts. The brown shirts are there. There are organizations that are there. So these are organizations. Just because I say that they exist does not mean I accept them.
But you wish you had such social organizations.
I wish I had social organizations, but I do not wish to have poisonous social organizations. I wish I had positive social organizations which talked about economics, which talked about education, which talked about modernity, which talked about a scientific temper. I don't want to be teaching gobbledygook and taking this country backwards. As I said, these Ayatollah, this is a Hindu Iran which is getting created here.
Okay, so Karti, there are a few questions coming in from our audience for you. Two questions that I'd like to put together. Firstly, Kaushik Jha is asking, do you think that Dr. Shashi Tharoor lost because the Gandhi family didn't support him? And another question I'd like to add with that, Ashik Bhandari, who's asking if the upcoming Karnataka elections influenced the establishment's apparent decision to back Mr. Kharge.
See, when I say, let me make this very clear. Mrs. Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi never expressed their preference of one candidate over another. But the reality was that there were certain entrenched forces which communicated that they had a preference. And that communication was disseminated far and wide. I'm not going to deny that. So there was an unequal playing field set before the first ball was bowled. But in spite of that, let's be very clear, 1,072 people have voted for Dr. Shashi Tharoor. While Mr. Kharge has had an overwhelming win, the party accepts the decision, everybody accepts the decision, are going to be united there. It is important to acknowledge that 1,072 people voted in spite of this kind of a false propaganda which was spread. But I don't think the Karnataka election was a factor in Mr. Kharge contesting the election. I think many people were free to contest elections. I mean, initially there we believed that a chief minister would contest elections. Then he did not contest, file his paper. Then there was another former chief minister we believed would file his nomination, but did not file. So Mr. Kharge was a late entrant.
Yeah, it was a wild goose chase for the reporters for sure.
It was a late entrant. Mr. Shashi Tharoor has always been declaring his intent that he was wanting to contest for this position. Uh, but be it what may, the process might not have been perfect, but it was still a process, and I accept the process. I was involved in right from the endorsing the nomination as a proposer to Shashi Tharoor to being his chief counting agent in today's election. I think this is as good as it gets, and it's fine. I'm satisfied with the election result. I'm satisfied with what votes Mr. Shashi Tharoor has got, and it's important for the party to take this as part of the overall messaging as well.
The next question is from Atharva Dolas, again one of our viewers, who's asking, has the Congress given up on Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh assembly elections as there is little to none campaigning?
See, this is way above my pay grade. I mean, I have no idea about Gujarat, the strategies or the nuances which are going into Gujarat and into Himachal elections. You see, Indian elections are very complicated. Just because you are in politics does not mean you understand every state and every state's dynamics. I mean, I would believe that the Congress is going to put up a spirited fight, and I believe the Congress did very rather lost the last elections narrowly. And I would believe that the state unit there and those who are being given the responsibility of overseeing the campaign will put still a very credible campaign, will have a fighting chance. But I really do not have data or nuances of what happens. I mean, I'm sure the people of Gujarat are tired of having a BJP government for so long. I mean, they must be tired.
The Congress sure hopes so.
The Aam Aadmi Party is emerging as a real alternative.
I don't know that there is an alternative. At best, the Aam Aadmi can be a spoiler. Okay, at best, they can be an unfortunate spoiler. I do not. I would be very surprised if the Aam Aadmi can actually win a single seat in Gujarat.
Okay, we are talking about the Congress's revival. Now look at your state. You haven't been in power there since what, 67?
67. Well, before I was born.
Yes. What's happening there? Why have you not been able? Even now, you have up to 6, 7%, 8% votes. You still managed to get.
Because you see, Tamil Nadu was the first state which became presidential before any other state in India. First, it was Annadurai, then it was Karunanidhi, then it was MGR, and then it was Jayalalitha. They were really the only 4 chief ministers over the last 50, 55 years. And now Mrs. Stalin.
So the fact was the party.
The point is, we were never, and people are voting for the chief minister. Tamil Nadu is very presidential. They decide who they want to be chief minister, then they vote. It is leader, party, alliance, symbol which matters. Candidates don't really matter in Tamil Nadu. That is why you have these one-sided victories in lots of elections. Party, in fact, I always say this, 95% of the people in India will never be able to name their councillor, MLA and MP. 95% cannot. And you should take a poll of your own viewers to see whether they can name the 3 elected representatives immediately. And in Tamil Nadu, we have never been able to post Kamaraj. We have never been able to showcase a leader who has got mass appeal throughout Tamil Nadu. We tried it once in 89 with Mr. Moopanar. We did not do too badly, but we did not persist with it. We gave it up immediately. And because of this presidential structure of Tamil Nadu elections, and we not being able to put up a leader who can capture the imagination of the people, we are not a player. See, I'm not saying this leader must immediately win the election. We have not even put a leader who is perceived to be a future leader of the people.
No, I talk about Tamil Nadu's case just as an example, because you have a similar story with other states, UP, Bihar. I mean, your Congress is vanishing, its footprints are vanishing. See, what's going wrong, and what can you do to revive the party there?
See, I think the first step is to have defined memberships within a unit, within an assembly, have elections within the unit, elect office bearers, give them responsibility, give them the power, and also elect candidates, also select candidates through that system. Candidates have to be rooted to that area well before elections happen in order to be viable there and to run election campaigns. And I think it's important to empower local units to have an greater say in selecting candidates for elections. And that's the only way a candidate will also work within the organization to make sure the organization is viable, so he or she gets the endorsement of the organization to get a ticket. So a lot of times, you're getting a ticket without the endorsement of the organization. You're disconnected from the organization. The organization is not really being functional for the years before coming to the election. But if your seat is dependent on making sure the organization endorses you, you will make sure the organization works non-election time in order for you to get a ticket. So that is very important.
That's the organizational thing. But how do you re-establish your connect with the people?
We have to come up with positive agendas. We have to meet. India is an aspirational country. Most people are dissatisfied with what's happening in their life. You have to say how you are going to meet their needs, economic needs or maybe social needs. You have to answer those questions. You have to give those guarantees. If, say, in Bihar, the fact that they are going to fill government jobs had an appeal. I mean, I think Tejaswi's campaign had an appeal. He said, as I come to office, I will immediately fulfill government jobs. I mean, you must meet that. In Tamil Nadu, I'm always been saying that then we must come up with a methodology to undertake the cost of higher education, because it's a huge burden, because Tamil Nadu has got a huge college going population. College fees are high. And if you have two kids going to college, it breaks the back of a middle class family. So you have to meet aspiration. You have to come up with solutions which will sort out the problems of aspirational India.
But somehow Congress leaders sound more philosophical. People hate you. I love you. So vote for me.
I don't love anybody. I'm not philosophical. I'm here and real. And I still believe that it's the economy stupid, and you still need to focus on people's needs, and you need to focus on delivery of goods. I mean, you need to also focus on urban India, which I sometimes think political parties fail to do, because urban India is growing. Urban Indian concerns are not spoken about, and you need to speak about those concerns and come up with solutions to those concerns.
But do you think that you as a party do not take elections seriously? Because and the examples that I'd like to give here is the Bharat Jodo Yatra. It's probably the biggest thing of its kind that the party has organized in the longest time. But your party leaders, including Mr. Rahul Gandhi, including Mr. Jairam Ramesh, keep on saying that this is not an electoral exercise. This is not a vote-winning exercise. Again, there's been questions on why the Yatra is not going through Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, and that's some of the questions we are receiving as well. That once, if the Congress suffers a loss in Gujarat and Himachal, what will that do to the momentum of the Bharat Jodo Yatra? What will that do to this momentum that you've got with the elections? So, does the Congress at this point, overall as an organization, not take elections seriously?
No, that's not true. We take elections seriously. Maybe we are not updating ourselves to the modern techniques of winning elections today. We are still in a little bit of an older style of doing elections. But I think we are also now getting the hang of this granular data analysis, and we're coming up with more focused things. And if you look at Karnataka, you will see the messaging will become very, very sharp, very, very local. I mean, right, for example, when we had the PayCM propaganda which went on, it's getting sharper and sharper. There are certain state units that are getting very sharp in their communication and what they want, what they're doing to the people. But that might not be a national phenomenon. But as far as the Bharat Jodo Yatra, I agree with them saying this is not an exercise to win election votes. This is an exercise, first of all, on a broad philosophical principle, is to unite India. And also to take the leadership of the party to the streets, so people can feel the leadership. See, we always had this leadership in the mountain concept in India. Now we are taking the leadership to the doorstep concept. And also for the party to interact with people in a little bit more of a non-structured format to see what's happening there. So in a way, this yatra is going to be a plus for the Congress on all fronts. And most importantly, even if you sort of diss Rahul Gandhi for everything, you have to give him credit for waking up every morning and going for a walk 25 kilometers every day. People don't go for their morning walks every day, even a week. This is going to happen for 150 days. For sheer effort, there has to be grudging respect for him for doing that. And it's not easy. I can't walk. I mean, people ask me, I simply don't have the physical discipline or the mental discipline to walk 150 days. How many people in India can have that? For merely doing that, I think there's going to be grudging respect for Rahul Gandhi's entity.
Probably he should have been going to places like, say, where some people were flogged in public by the policemen. Probably he should be going to meet. Okay, but
See,
just walking on the road and sending out
but,
the message.
see, where the
Where is that
yatra,
interaction
where the yatra has to obviously go through a predetermined route. It can't be so dynamic that it's going to go every time.
No, I'm saying,
If every time somebody who's going to get
I'm saying,
lynched for taking a cow in a truck, then we have to keep running from
no,
pillar
I'm
to
saying
post every single day.
all that it
That's what happens in North India.
all that it shows is like just optics, just walking,
But
cameraman, pictures, videos.
I mean,
That's
Sunscreen.
all.
obviously, we are learning. If you're talking about optics, what does the Prime Minister of India do other than optics? I mean, his entire day is optics. I mean, it's Goebbels times Goebbels. It is just optics and rhetoric. That is all
But
it
the
is.
difference is people vote for him.
It's yes. So did they vote for the Congress? We need to recalibrate ourselves. But the point is, our messaging has to become sharper. As I told you, the reasons why the Hindutva Hindi agenda is working, it's working there. It is working in North India because of this perceived angst people feel about a particular community, and they think othering that community is good enough and is good enough to embellish any other failing of the BJP. As long as the BJP continues to be anti-Muslim, they're willing to forgive the BJP and endorse the BJP. That seems to be the only reason why they would endorse the BJP. Everything else is forgiven. Demonetization is forgiven. A messy GST is forgiven. A lockdown is forgiven. Everything is forgiven. I mean, a failing rupee is forgiven. Inflation is forgiven.
But you're not telling us that you think people have this anti-Muslim mindset, the voters.
At least in north of India, there is a, in the subconscious there is a mindset to other the minorities, and that is being tapped by the BJP and its other support organizations. They stoke that fear even more.
Tell me something about this Congress. I mean, what did you tell about the Congress that say like an articulate, clear-headed leader like you? He's nowhere in the organizational hierarchy. What's happening
I'm,
there?
I'm too much of a free-spirited person to be in
No, because
any hierarchical
we have
structure.
seen a lot of young, talented people leaving the party because they haven't got any opportunities in the organization or elsewhere.
Well, see,
So,
I am in the Congress. See, no other political party will tolerate somebody like me. I'm a free thinker. I'm absolutely an owl man and a maverick in many ways. No political party will have me other than the Congress. Only the Congress will allow me to even to say whatever I'm saying. No, every other political party would have sent me a show cause notice for every time I say something. So I am truly grateful and thankful for the Congress party for giving me the space to be myself. Since I am myself, sometimes I can understand why there is a sort of a reluctance to give me organizational responsibilities because of my free spirited nature. It's fine. It's fine with me. I mean, it has to be a symbiotic relationship.
So we don't have much time left. So Karti, last question. Now that this has happened, now that the election's taken place, you've campaigned, we have a very clear winner. In the next few months, what do you think are the challenges that Mr. Kharge will face, and what do you think should be his immediate plan of action over the next few months?
See, I think the blueprint is there from the Chintan Shivir resolution. I think it just simply has to implement that. And of course, because we have 30 states in India, we'll always have some election happening at some point of time. So I think the immediate focus of the Congress president will be to focus on the two elections, Gujarat and Himachal, and then immediately Karnataka will happen. So then we'll never have any respite from a non-election time. But at the same time, organize, and I hope they will decentralize the decision making in order to strengthen the organizational issues or to address the issues of organization in various states. But I think the blueprint is the Chintan Shivir resolutions.
All right, thank you so much, Karti, for
Yeah.
coming down to our studios today after a long day where you were Mr. Tharu's counting agent. That was the special episode of the Prince Political Adda. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back with a new episode every week, and there is a lot happening in the Congress in the weeks to come, which we will keep updating you on. Thanks for watching.